Expression controls create controllers and write expressions for them. First, we need to specify the control layer where all our controllers will be created. This is done with the Set button. To lower, when the control layer is specified, the button changes its color. And now, when creating controllers, they will be created on this layer. If we specify another layer, then controllers will be created on this layer. We will not have a control layer selected. Then the controllers will be created on the first layer in the composition we are working on. Let's proceed to create controllers. Let's indicate our control layer for the controllers. And now let's add controllers for the headphones. Position properties of text and shape layers. We select position properties, press point control, and on our control layer, position controllers were created as well as expressions were written for these properties. Expressions are written for other properties too, and their functionality can vary. For example, if we are going to add the expression E and a controller for the opacity property, then using the slider control, it will be created for us. The slider controller will be attached to an expression that will be regulated by this slider. If we choose a checkbox as a controller, control box, then we will also have an expression created which will be tied to the checkbox. And by switching the checkbox on and off, our opacity will change from 100 to 0. This can be useful when controlling the tint, invert effects, and so on. We can also bind other properties. For example, if we are going to bind the scale properties to the slider just by indicating the slider, we have the scale size will proportionally change with a single slider. If we set the X slider, then we will only be controlling X country. The same applies to the Y slider. We will have the vertical side controlled. This will also work for position control.
If we specify X
or Y, then the slider position is controlled only for one side. If we have several control layers in our composition, we can switch the control layer. For example, there are two control layers. We want colors on one of them. We specify this control layer, how main layer. And now if we are to create controllers for the color, let's choose two colors, U of a text layer and a shape. Let's create a color control. The controllers were created on our colors layer. Let's select controls lower. Now let's move on to another composition. We have here 5 digits and we want to be able to switch layers using a drop-down menu. Since we have selected control layer in another composition, the drop menu controller will also be created in the composition where we specified the control layer. We selected our layers, clicked the drop menu, and now in our composition where our control layer is located, a drop-down menu has been created in which lists are specified. the names of the layers. If we had there was the name of the layers were layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, and here in the list we have the list would contain these names. And now, switching this list, we switch transparent layers that we specified in creating a drop-down list.